How is everybody today? I am so happy to be back. I gotta admit, like yesterday, I was all excited. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go in there on Monday and do my thing. Because, like, so much has changed and so much has evolved. And I feel like I have so much, like, good news and exciting things to share, right? And I just want to explain to people, like, where I am. But before we do that, I did want to address one thing. If you are ever listening to these videos and my reality departs from yours, just do me a favor, and rather than either getting lost or turning it off or thinking that maybe that, work moving forward is not for you, like, maybe just go back and watch the last couple of videos, because we're just banging through the work, right? And I'm getting through a lot of big stuff very quickly, and if it ever feels like, oh, this isn't making sense anymore, rather than just giving up on the process and giving up on you, right? Go back a few steps. Go back and see what it's like a few steps ago and see if that makes sense to you, right? And always keep in mind that I'm never in here asking you to believe anything. You don't have to believe me. Just watch. I know that I can prove and demonstrate everything up here that I'm talking about. Absolutely, right? And we just have to you have to allow the process to take what it's going to take for you. Keep in mind that I've been, studying this stuff most of my adult life, right? And again, while I understand the concepts, I haven't always implemented them correctly, and I knew that. I knew I was being lazy. I knew that I could have been doing better for myself, right? So anyhow, I finally got serious, right? And got in here and started doing the work for myself. So again, if it's not making sense to you, go back a couple steps. This is where we have been. This is the recap. Okay, these last 9 videos, for me, are the work. For me, have been the change where I have stopped living up here and started living in here. Because I gotta tell you, like, it's a total game changer. It is a total game changer. It is a total game changer when you abandon the fight, when you abandon the ego, right? And stop the chaos. It's a game changer. So these last 9 videos were that process for me, right? We started on April 18th with the North Star, identifying what is the North Star? Where are we going? What's the end destination? Remember that? And we identified that that was joy. That the North Star that we were always going to be making every decision from in order to accomplish the same goal, right? All those decisions had to live in service to the North Star. That was April 18th, right? And then we did a little stepping back video. Remember that? Because it was like, oh, there's like lots of bunch of different stuff in here, right? And it was in that video we started talking about safety. And I want to make sure that we get that in this video, okay? Because that becomes really important moving forward. And the notation of that as far as how it's affecting the coloring of your mind, quite frankly. Anyhow, so that's when we started talking about that in the stepping back video. And then we did a little fun Friday afternoon, 5-minute, blah, 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 where I was explaining the process of the work, right? The work of unpacking each and every little piece of information, whether it be a thought pattern or whether it be a fear, right? A fear that you hold inside yourself that you want to get rid of. So that's where we were, right? The Friday afternoon, then we went into red flags. The red flags video was instrumental in helping us to identify where to go in our mind, right? Because I was saying, as soon as you see a red flag, ding, 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 that's where the work is for you, isn't it? That's where the work is. And so when those red flags go up is like, oh, here's fear, or oh, here's, this thought pattern that I don't think is serving me, right? When that red flag goes up, you run to it. And you're like, what are you about? What is going on? What is this? Is this serving me, right? So that starts to, help you gain control of your own mind. That really is starting to become master and commander of you and your thought patterns, right? And then we went to Love's Mandate, then why people got stuck, finding center, and then being in it, but not of it, right? That concept of a little bit of separation, of disconnection, right? To radically detach from that which is not serving us. And to always be, critical of the thoughts that come in around that. Watch out for that, okay? There's a lot of stuff right there, okay? So being in it, but not of it. And then know your name. That important lesson of trusting yourself. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's learning to trust your yes and your no, and knowing it as truth. That's super tricky for people who have a very difficult past, right? Because we often have found ourselves in situations where we couldn't trust ourselves, right? Especially if you've had any addiction issues, things like that. Those types of thought patterns really, grab onto that, right? Of course you can't trust yourself. You don't know if you're gonna, become alcoholic and start drinking or whatever, go off the wagon, whatever it is, So you don't trust yourself necessarily. But in that video, know your name. That's the work of developing trust. Trust with self, but more importantly, trust with what is, and trust with the universe, right? I continue to be absolutely in awe of that power. I continue to be in awe of trust because it is the tether, it is the umbilical cord from you to the universe. It's that direct. I think one reason why, faith communities and the way that they conduct themselves and language themselves and things like this, I've never understood the whole faith thing, right? Faith. It's one directional. The faith. It can only be a noun. It cannot be a verb. There's no energy there. There's no movement. It's a dead object, right? But trust can be a noun or a verb, right? So what does that say about it? Trust is that two-way street, right? It's that direct communication with what is, and it's through that channel, that portal, and I never understood what I was doing with this until now. It is unbelievable when you identify and tap into source. It will fill you up and feed you in a way that leaves you content, truly content. And it's something I've been really just, working with and exploring and trying to find the edges of and delving into this, it's whoo, it's direct power, access to all of that I feel like I've been searching for my whole life. I know that sounds really big. But it changes everything. Let me just quickly describe a few of the things that I found most notable about the shift in my person and my vibe and the way that I am and what I'm like exchanging with in terms of like energetically all around me, like to drop into the heart consciousness and abandon the mind, like it really is like going on vacation, because that trust just is like 1,000%, right? And it's filling you up in the same way that just the reciprocal relationship of that energy, of that source energy is just like almost addicting, right? And I find myself, because when you get there, like that's all you need. That's all you need. And that's the game changer. The game changer of not needing anything other than to just be. And you find yourself fulfilled and content in that state without the need to ever change it, have it be different or anything. And it's the change from consciousness to being, right? In this state, there's like no more thinking. Like I was trying to pull up and explore the landscape of my understanding, and then I realized I was in a place that doesn't put any value on understanding. There's only value in being in today, in being in this moment, right? To connect with what is and understand that everything that's happening around us, everything that is happening around us is conspiring for our highest and best interest. Everything. Right? Because even when we realize there's a red flag, that there's a danger, that there's a person that's triggering us, that's good news, right? I get to run to that to find out where the edge of my work is, right? To experience and explore myself in a new way, right? And so, like, I have no fear. Like, I have no need for safety. That's the biggest change. There's no landscape of my understanding. Right? There's no chatter. It's just silence and beauty, right? And knowing that it's all as it should be, right? That we're in good care, that it's all being taken care of, right? And that everything is conspiring for our success, right? Watch those last couple of videos, those last 9 videos. I want this for you. I want this for you. And so we're going to be exploring that and seeing like what we can do in order to bring everybody up into the party, right? Because this is where it's happening. Yeah, baby, this is where it's going on, right? With this level of consciousness, because, oh my gosh, like I found so many amazing things. Like before I thought I had to like weaponize empathy, you remember that? And I was like, oh, well, you know, like if you just stop caring and abandon whatever, like you're not going to have any protection. It was a safety issue, right? I was needing safety. That's an ego thing, right? But what I realized is though that like joy has its own weapon of beauty that's so repulsive to anything that is not that by simply calling it out whenever it gets close. It's amazing. It's like it's built, and of course, like duh, like my little human brain thought I needed to come up with like a booby trap or something for safety for me if I like, you know, develop too much. Right? But of course, like the higher level of consciousness is looking at things, people seated in joy, right? and giving them the strongest armor of all, which is contrast. Whew! That took me a while to get to. Right? The highly evolved, in a way, are like protected, because when you're just standing and resonating with joy and someone pulls up next to you who's less than that, right? Like, it really calls out who they are. Like, it's like me showing up at shaman school and being a disaster, and I'm like, I have work to do. Bye. Right? Because I'm around all these highly evolved people, and I'm like terrible and, you know, causing problems and just being up here and just being up here, right? And not being in here, right? Because in here, nothing else needs to change. Nothing else needs to be different at all. Like, the welcome of what is, because what is creator. What is the intelligence of the universe, right? That you're just kind of tapping into. Like, it's so crazy. It's so crazy, right? To be ever present and to not have a landscape of understanding, because there's no need. It's just it's like a problem a little bit, because like I'll be sitting there and like just doing, you know, that resonating with the universe thing, you know, that I've always done. Like, I just, you know, like bam, you know, like just to have that exchange with, you know, the universe in that way. And I didn't know what that really was, like I said, until now. Like, the real portal, right? The portal to that energy. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. Anyways, I think that's kind of where we are right now. I wanted to do a recap for you, kind of to bring you along. We're going to be working, you know, on your process next. And we're going to be breaking down all of those 9 videos, right, to make sure that we bring you along. Because again, this is where the party's happening, right? This is where the party's happening, right? And this level of, you know, love and understanding and compassion for your fellow humans, right? So let's get this party started, honey. Talk to you next time. Bye.